Hi everyone, it's Henry here and welcome to Cult Catch Up, our shorter length regular podcast where we take a look at what's been happening in the last week in the miniatures painting world, and we take a look behind the scenes at some of the videos we've been producing for here and over on Patreon. And joining me for this episode is Matt. Hello mate.
Hello.
Are you
on
well?
the other side now.
You are, right? Yeah, so Matt's controlling nothing here. Matt's normally pulling all the strings, technical strings, right? Andy's off on a little holiday at the minute. But I wanted to keep the podcast rolling, and in a couple of weeks we're going to be doing our Culture of Paint live podcast where we're going to be talking loads about ORKTOBER, something Matt and myself are both very big fans of. So what I thought I'd do is get him to jump on and we could take over the weekly show as well and have a little bit of a chat about it. Because for those of you who may not know, Matt, other than being founder and organizer of MPO, also runs a pretty splendid website called Golden Demon Compendium. And part of that is, part of it, last few years, you've been running an ORKTOBER painting contest, right?
Yeah, so it's just a fun, friendly little community thing. No expectations of anyone. Just paint an orc, or don't paint an orc. Paint an old orc.
Any orc. I quite enjoyed the new, old, or in between.
Yeah.
What would you class as an in between era?
Well, new paint job, old paint job. Paint job you've had on the burner for the last 20 years.
I've got you. I'm with you now. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to paint it new for the contest, right?
No,
it's just show off your favourite.
Yeah. Paint your favourite orc.
And is this third year? Third year?
This will be the third time it's run. I ran it in 2021, but I didn't do 22. Just because we were so busy with like MPO and other stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Didn't have the energy for it.
It's all a bit blurry, isn't it? But one of the things, like, I think it's worth saying is, you say it's just a bit of fun, obviously it's free to enter, it's all the rest of it, but you get a load of artwork commissioned for it, which looks amazing, hence the amazing squeak here.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how to show this in slides because, as you're more than well aware, I'm technically deficient. But you've also this year created a theme song.
There is a theme song that comes out on the 17th of October, which is today, yeah.
Sorry. Well, behind the scenes there, guys. So yeah, it will already be out by the time
it'll be out by the time you watch this. I had it in my head. I had to record it.
So, I mean, that's worth saying as well. So Matt's kind of day job is a sound technician, and you're also a musician in your spare time. And I teased you for making this because I assumed you had just used computer machines to do all of it. And you turned around and went, no, actually.
No, it's all me in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, full Trent Reznor, and did the entire recording, every instrument on yourself. So it's amazing, mate. Like this is what gives me buzzes in hobbies, is when people go to that nth degree of obsession with creating something.
Yeah, it was a little bit much, but like it was like I was giggling when it was like recording it. It was just so funny.
Oh, mate, I love it. And I don't know, there's something about ORKTOBER. It's been a thing now for a long time, and I like that it's stuck. Because it's that. It's like we spoke about, I think it was on the last episode, like no one's ever really mad at orc hobbyists, right? They're just happy people who enjoy doing it. And it's kind of like, yeah, fine, ORKTOBER, whatever, let them have it. I love it. And so let's go into this obsession thing of yours a little bit, because it's worth saying, you put your money where your mouth is with it. So what we got up here, so this was your last but one Golden Demon entry, I think, the Grots.
I think this was the Manchester one.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed, like, I had all these Grots. I was going to do like a diorama, but I couldn't get like the perspective to work, but I had all the Grots ready and I still wanted to use them. So I just made the G team.
And was it right? Was this after the Skaven one? Yeah. So you were very much in that zone.
Yeah.
Right. I love it, man. Like, it's because there was I should have done the slide for this. I knew I'd forget one. There was an Orc mini came out recently that kind of, I thought, flew under the radar a bit. Was the new mech, the new big mech?
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of got like, I mean, we'll talk about it, mate. Like, we don't want to do too much stuff that we're going to chat about on the live episode, right? But like, there's definitely an evolution. But what I was going to say is, again, orcs are great to collect because regardless of manufacturer, regardless of whether it's orcs or goblins, there's always something new.
Yeah.
So, and again, we'll talk about this loads in the cultural paint, but you've got that recent long snout or whatever it's called, long nose, long face, what they called them? That Paul Bonner style orc Kickstarter that's on at the minute.
I don't know. I haven't seen
We'll
that.
talk about it in the live. You'll dig it. It's really cool. Puddy's been doing some stuff for it. But yeah, there's just always new orcs, and also got the tank busters and stuff we've just been shown for the new Killteam. So yeah, I guess the big one is after these guys, what are you thinking next?
No more grots or orts at the moment. I've got my Monty thing, which I'm desperately trying to paint.
Is that the
big Mark Gibbons Gretchen?
Yeah, right. So well, that's kind of right. I will definitely drop that in this overlay on this. And that was a slide I meant to make.
I think after that I might be a bit orked out.
That's okay. It's okay. Like it's you're a hobbyist who does a handful of pieces a year, right, and throws themselves into. So
have to. You have to pick and choose which ones you want to do. You can maybe get like 2 a year.
And as long as one is an orc, then you're all right.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say about Mark Gibbons Goblin. I wonder if there's might be some more cool Mark Gibbons Goblin coming out soon, but we'll perhaps talk about that on the big episode as well. But yeah, man, like just grots as well. And like I said to you, we really should just make it a grot takeover, a poddy. But they're the best invention.
They're just so amusing. Like there's no
nasty, right? Like
they're
really nasty.
But they just add so much character.
Do you know what it is for me as well? It's when it comes to painting them, it's joyful from like the minute you start to the minute you finish, which is usually about 10 minutes later because they're tiny.
Yeah.
There's just nothing that isn't fun about painting them, and I love this evolution from. Remember when Brian Nelson did the new style grots, which we saw for Gorka Morka, and it kind of reset them. Into again that slightly nastier, much sort of pointier, vicious, lots of teeth, all of that. And I love how it's continued and evolved. And like, I mean, these are they? Is there much conversion on these guys, or are they more or less stock?
The weird boy Gretchen grot, the shaman one, that's heavily converted. That's part of a Boing grot Bowser.
Oh, nice
thing.
Yeah.
The grot pistols from another thing, and then I had to sculpt on the hands. And the one sliding down the pole, that's the hand is sculpted on that. But the other one is just they come out of the. We're gonna have to pause for a second.
That's all right.
The cat is meowing.
Right, so you've now removed the furry squeak from your studio. I wouldn't worry about it, mate. Like my editing skills are up there with the rest of my technical skills. So we may have you just throwing a cat out of the room. So don't worry about it.
Window sometimes.
But yeah, what were we saying? Just they're just in so many kits, aren't they? We talked, didn't we, about how I love how GW have started sticking in the extras on sprues, the pets and the things like that. And it feels like it started with grots quite a long time ago. And now it's just any excuse.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
To put them on,
you got spare space on the sprue, just throw a grot in.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And you've got them like in the backpacks, haven't you? And there's that one from the Storm Boys. That's a great one.
My favourite ones are the... they're not... I don't know how... I can't remember how new the kit is. The ones on the back of the Boar Boy rider things.
Yeah. So the last big release, I think Orcs got, the sideboard. They're not called sideboards. Whatever the new sideboard things are. They're squeak pigs, aren't they? They're not. Not
for weird things, but like just each one has a grot. I'm like, cool. I have to spend £10 on eBay for each of these.
But they kind of molded the Gretchens and the Snotlings together.
They kind of merged.
They sort of merged. Like you still get them popping up. But there was definitely behind me somewhere. I got the old "Here We Go" book, and I just loved reading about like that difference between the two of them. Just essentially the idea that the Gretchen are constantly trying to get one over on the orcs, but the Snotlings really are just like toddlers. You're just sort of wandering around getting eaten constantly by squigs or orcs or whatever. But yeah, that's Oh, it's going to be a good live episode, mate. I know I keep saying that, but this one's warming me up, getting me excited. But I really just wanted to promote, and we're a couple of weeks into October now. You've still got a few weeks to go. Again, you don't have to paint anything new for the October contest, right? It's just a chance to collate tons and tons of awesome Orc minis together and view them. Are you going to stick these up on Compendium, or will it be on?
So it has its own website, ORKTOBER.co.uk. I couldn't get the .com. Someone already had it.
Unsurprising. Sorry, I'll just make a note of that's probably made an awful noise on the camera, but we'll stick that down in the description as well. Has it got the galleries from last few years as well? Amazing.
All the galleries, all the rules, everything.
Joy. Now, this little grot tank is something we mentioned on the last live podcast.
I was so happy with this. I went and ruined it by trying to paint it.
Mate, the tracks are superb. Like,
I want to do another one.
Took a while, right?
Oh yeah, that is. There's so it's all styrene. There's a little tiny 0.5 mil solid rod of styrene, and then a tube of styrene inside the thing, and then a riveted little ratchet thing over it, and then each track's individual. It took so long.
It's amazing.
And then I went and destroyed it by trying to paint it.
Well, there you go. You just have to do it again. It's something me and Andy would talk about on the Patreon podcast. I was reading a book the other night, and there was a quote in it which was, "Be proud of what you've done. Now go do better."
Yeah.
So the idea of don't put yourself down, but also like recognize the next thing.
I was so happy with it, and then it just got ruined. I was just like, no.
Sure, one of my favorites is the aerial, where you've just, I know it's super simple, but like coiling the aerial to get the little spring in it. It's just, we spoke about it before. Like Rich and Ben are big sort of World War II, World War One sort of scale model fans, but I am, but only really in the context of Warhammer 40k. And I just love seeing little elements like that on a 40k
so fun.
mini.
It's 0.5 mil. They use it for making flower arrangements. So it's just like little tiny flower arrangement wire, and it's just really like soft and malleable, and then you can just leave it and it just stays there.
Yeah, love it. So what are you going to do for the next? You got any ideas?
I would like to do another grot tank.
Yeah.
But just not paint it.
But you're going to base it on another tank? Or like, because how did you work with this one? Was this based on?
No, this just, I just started making it. This was just picked all bits out of the bits box and just, it's part of a killer can. There's the old original Baneblade turret. There's a Vindicator launcher thing, the Demolisher cannon. There's things from Battle Predators.
But and that was it. You just started shoving it together there, because I know in the past, like people have done like I'm terrible with the names. Is it called? It's called like a Mark One. Is it called like a Mother or something? Basically, it's the first great big tank, and then it looks a little bit like the Malcadors and a little bit like the old Land Raiders.
The Mark One Land Raider.
No, but the real life tank.
Oh.
The basically,
I know the one. Like, I mean,
but like I've seen quite a few people do like an Orc version of that, and I just wondered if you were like, oh, do you know what, I'm going to do an Orc Predator. Like that's a popular one, isn't it? An Orced up Predator.
I kind of just like starting to build it and then just.
That's a great idea, mate. It's just like proper old school Lego approach, and just
shove Plasticard together and just see what happens.
Plasticard's so much fun as well, right? It's need to do more of this. Need to do more. And actually, it might be. I hope we get a few more entries MPO. Actually, what's the deal with like, could someone enter something like this for October?
Yeah, there's no categories, nothing like that. Just anything to do with orcs.
Oh, great! So what? Even 2D artwork?
2D artwork, sculpt,
amazing!
Whatever you want.
Amazing, mate. Oh, guys, get in on this, because I want to. Because selfishly, I just want to watch, sit and watch a load of it. Oh, have I got any orc stuff? No, I've said it. I did do that Warcrow one.
I think my favourite one from last year was the VW bug.
Yes, yeah.
That was
good. Amazing. If I remember, guys, I'll stick up a few more slides over the top of this. I probably won't, so go and check the description on the thing. But yeah, anything more you wanted to natter about with regards to October?
No, just do it.
Do it. Get involved. As I say, a couple of weeks' time, guys, are going to be doing the big, long live episode, and me and Matt are going to be deep diving and gushing about orcs for about 2 hours. So, there'll be plenty of lovely pictures to show off during that one. And before we move on to this thing, there's one more question I want to ask you, because I can't wait for 2 weeks to ask you it. Favorite orc model ever?
I still really love the original, not the original Gaz, the 90s Gaz. Gaz Gold, the metal one.
So the first big one, right? The first Brian Nelson one.
Yeah. With the
excellent choice.
Stick launchers, and
yeah.
You can either do it had the dual power claw option. You could either have it left or right. That was, yeah. I remember
would never stay glued together, presumably, because it was just a huge.
That was actually not too bad, because like the little square things they put to put it together, they had like massive surface area, so you just whack a load of super glue on it. It's not going anywhere.
Fair play. It's a good shout. That's my furry squig in the background now. Now having a good go, I suspect, at the postman. So let's stop that recording again. Okay, that's the squig hound dealt with. It was, to be fair, it was hobby supplies arriving, so I'm not mad. Not mad at that. But let's move on. I say I'm getting far too excited, and we're not recording the live one for 2 weeks yet. But I think I'm going to be ready to go when the time comes for that one. But hopefully that has given people some idea of Matt's orc credentials. Now get on ORKTOBER and populate that gallery. So it's been a couple of weeks since we did one of these on YouTube. We did record a Patreon only podcast last week, which have ended up becoming these huge long podcasts now, because we just do Q&As, and it's been great fun. Like, people have been engaging. There's some quite crunchy kind of in-depth painting chats. There's bizarre, it's bizarre. Some people want to know what it's like working in this industry, as it were. And then quite general ones as well, like the best types of biscuits, stuff like that. So if you guys want to, what's your one?
Jaffa cakes.
Oh, I mean, it's a great.
They're not a biscuit.
This is it, right? Then you have to get into that whole debate with that. But what we do on this part of the podcast is just take a quick look at what the videos we've been doing over the last week or couple of weeks, and just sort of have a look at maybe some of the stuff we didn't cover in the videos, or things we came up against or particularly enjoyed or didn't. And just, stuff we can't necessarily include when we try and keep the videos fairly concise to go out as a tutorial. And the one I did last week or a couple of weeks ago now, absolutely loved it. Harakoni Warhawks. So I remember Dawn of War 1, the army painter, or whatever it's called, that section, where you could change what your army looked like.
Thing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then in it was these Harakoni Warhawks, and that was kind of it. So at that time, I think I was still flitting with getting back in the hobby. I'd be reading the books, or I'd be playing the video games, but I wasn't necessarily painting the minis at that time. But 20 years nearly, I think it is 18 years, 19 years. So so it took a while to do these, but I can't remember the last time I had this much fun. It's been, I reckon, a couple of months since I've had this much fun on
the new guard stuff, just in general, across the whole range. I love that they've bigified them as well. Mm-hmm. They've made the scale has gone up. I always thought, oh god, we're just too small, and fudgy. They were just stubby.
Yeah, I think so. And they've got the proportions now. I mean, the nice thing, even against Heresy Marines, so the new versions of the old style Marines, they still look human next to them, which is cool. But obviously, you stick them next to Primaris, and they really do. You get that scale difference, don't you? Size difference rather, which is really cool. But it was. I think one of the most fun parts was not only doing an old sort of bucket list type regiment that I wanted to play around with, but it was just kit bashing. I don't do enough kit bashing nowadays, and for me it's always been the creativity's always been the best bit of the hobby for me. Whether that's reading the books, whether that's kit bashing, whether that's painting, whether that's thinking up army themes or army lists and stuff like that. And it was so good. And I feel like we're definitely through that era now of when all the kits were getting, I guess, I don't know what the word is. Update is not quite the right word, but they definitely changed their approach, right, to how models went together. And for a while, it led to it being really difficult like change the poses in kit bash. And I feel like we're past that now, and there's this lovely mix of actually you can bash the kits together with not too much work.
Were these quite easy to kit bash then?
They really weren't bad. So there's three kits in it. So there's the Kazakin bodies. There's the new Tempestus size, Tempestus Aquilon, so the new drop shoot guard, and then the heads are from the normal Cadias.
That's good.
The heads obviously are super easy because it's all ball and socket across that entire range. So that's super easy, drip in and out. Backpacks was just a tiny little bit of snip in here and there, and the hardest part was the arms, and it's because on the new Tempestus kits there's sort of a plug around the shoulder,
right?
And there's a recess on the torso, so that sort of plugs into there, and it's lovely because it gives you, sometimes like especially like old Marines with that straight flat join on the shoulder, occasionally it meant the shoulder pads never sat quite correctly, and it's a bit weird. It's a really nice little tweak they've done, which makes them, I think, sit really nicely on the Tempestus models. But when you've got the torsos on the Kazakin, which don't have the recess, they're just flat sides. It means you get like 1.5 mil or 2 mil thing of them sticking out. So you just got to shave them down. Unfortunately, that meant that the position would change slightly. So where the hand would meet the gun, or sometimes it would, again, because the torsos aren't designed for it, you had to remove the odd little grenade or ammo pouch. But, we're talking snip it with the clipper, trim it with the knife, sand, bit of extra thin plastic glue. You're talking minutes to do it.
But it's easy to learn basic hobbying. Like, that's a good thing, I think. Like, they're very simple to do.
Yeah, minimal tools. Yeah.
You don't need to break out a huge amount of like millipart or green stuff and just resculpt a whole like section. You can just
absolutely. And I think there's a thing for me as well, like because 99% of the stuff I paint is for me or for gaming, right? It's not for display.
Yeah.
So I think with that, there's always that willingness to go, do you know what? If I pick this up under a lamp and really scrutinize it, maybe that isn't the cleanest join. But it doesn't matter.
Looks good on a table.
Right. It looks good. It looks good in the hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've really got to peer at them to get it. But I think there's also that element of, we said off air, of enjoying the build process of the models. Adds so much to the hobby, for in my opinion. Like, if building the minis is laborious, there's a risk it can even derail a project for me. But it's more the positive end of it, where if I enjoy the build process, that can often mean the project has legs and goes. Like Solar Auxilia is a great example. Like, I had no intentions of doing any Solar Auxilia, and then I built a couple of them for the video, and before I know, I've got 115 on the desk. So like, it's just. But because there was that element of the hobby, there was still that bit of creativity. It was still, a mindful process. But actually, at the end of a session, you've got, that's how I chose to work these guys. I've done them in 3s and 4s, sort of just enjoy it.
It's really important for projects. Is you need to see progress at the end of each session. If you don't, it just kills it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter what that progress is, right? Like, as long as there's something tangible there. Like, this, don't get me wrong, like if you want to achieve good things, you have to put the work in. Like, it's not all going to be like kittens and rainbows. But exactly as you're saying, like, having those little mini boosts of self-esteem as you're going through it. But yeah, they were wonderful. And the only real, I would say, extra level I went to with these was on the shoulder pads. They've got the weird ornate Gothic trim.
Oh yeah,
that the Scions do, like little arrows. I always think it looks a bit chaosy, but they do it on. So all I did was trim a little bit of that off, not loads, but just a little bit, just to make them a little more plain. But really simple. That's a run the sharp knife down it and then scrape up kind of thing. It wasn't.
It's quite nice with like stuff like that. Is they give you the option on the kit, and you can just take it away if you want to. That's nice.
Absolutely. And it's a weird. So I had to snip off a grenade on the hip of the chap with the melter gun, and on the hip belt you've got a grenade and you've got an ammo pouch. And I was like, it's the grenade's in the way. So I got the side cutters out, super clean cut, and I'm sure it can't be, but it felt like, as I'm doing it, it felt like they'd sculpted the torso or the hip area, then they'd sculpted the belt onto it, obviously all in CAD, and then they'd sculpted the grenade and they'd sculpted the pouch on. And it meant that when I snipped it off, it was almost like the hip plate was just there underneath it, if that makes sense. Like I was half expecting, oh no, there's going to be a void there, or there's going to be, like, it'll be some weird, like I'll really have to carve it out to make it look right. And it was almost as if I'd glued the grenade on and was then just snipping it off and cleaning it up. So I've no idea how that works, but it was lovely. Like I say, it was enjoyment start to finish, and the response has been really lovely. So we're gonna, from now on out, I'm planning to do at least one kill team a month, because it's a lovely way for me to engage with 40k at the moment. I'm not playing 40k. I don't have 40k armies, but I still love the setting. And a nice way to do tutorials. People seem to dig it. So really excited.
Nice as well.
So good, mate. So good.
I love that these little mini games, they've continued to give them love. Like it wasn't just like, oh, here's Kill Team, now we're just going to ignore it, and here's another 1,000 boxes of different Space Marines. Like, it allows the specialist design studios to just really hone in and just give us cool minis.
It's you say that, like I'm a massive fan of the specialist design studio. I think they are right up there with producing the best stuff for Games Workshop at the moment. But to the best of my knowledge, the Kill Team team are the quote unquote normal 40k sculpting team to the best of my knowledge. So and the that Kill Team is part of the main studio's 40k wing kind of thing. But you're right, like the fact that they, there's lots that GW do that I don't care for, but Kill Team, I think they're getting it really right. I was a little worried. Like I thought it got a bit wobbly when we started getting like Striking Scorpions, Kill Team. Like what's going on there? Like what's this random oil rig? But I think that was pretty clearly a sort of stopgap thing for a bit. But also, like, I'm not mad if the way you get new plastic Space Marine Scouts, rather than waiting 3 years for their next book, you just get them out as a Kill Team. I think it's great. And then presumably the sales you get from that allow them to produce random things like Adeptus Arbites and Imperial Navy, armsmen and stuff like that. So big fan. And also the Vespid in this kit, like my gaming buddy Dan's like built them up. Again, he was in a bit of a hobby funk, and then he just did these Vespid and Bosch. Before you know it, one session they're all done, like built. The next session he's already got progress on them, and you just need that kit occasionally, right? And I think Kill Team particularly, it feels like hobbyists that I hang out with and empathize with and all the rest of it, like it's got something to it. Like it allows for the level of sort of deep dive holistic hobby, the lore, the paint, the game,
does it all
that we're kind of craving.
Like chasing a meta. It's
but I think it's, to be honest, dude, I think there's also that, just as you're saying, like every session having some progress. Like it is really daunting thinking about painting an army. I find anyway, and I think a lot of people do. But actually painting 10 minis,
that's manageable. Because the last army I painted was 2,000 points of Dark Elder, and I hated every moment of it. It was the most mind-numbingly boring thing. I built it all, I sprayed it all, I painted it all in like 3 weeks. And it just drained me emotionally. Like I just got to the end and was like, I hate this army. I don't actually want to play the game now.
That sucks, right? But as we're saying, it's nice that there's other outlets now. So again, you can still tick all those boxes, but it doesn't have to be the army. Hopefully what that means is your enthusiasm and your momentum keeps going. You don't hit the funk, and then maybe you get the energy to do the army project and stuff again. But yeah, this absolutely loved it. Loved the response to it. Plenty more coming. I've got another Kill Team in, when's this video going out? A week or so from when this video goes out, there'll be another Kill Team. Just working on them at the minute. I want to get at least a couple more in before Christmas, I think. So let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd particularly like to see on that one. And then something else we've been doing fairly recently on the channel are these little technique toolbox videos where I'm sort of jumping in on one or two details. So we did like a simple sort of OSL one. We did a bone one that went down really well, the bone and horn. And then this week I've just done like a frost weapon and a snowy base one. And it's always still with a gaming, playing, collecting focus, paint wise. So they've got to be robust. They've got to look decent at a distance. They've got to look, and they can't take forever to do. Yeah. This one I was really, I'm not nervous about, but like I was less confident doing this one than I was, say, with the bone, because I paint a lot of bone on models. I enjoy painting it. I'd always wanted to have a go at doing the frost blades. I remember doing them on some Space Wolves years ago, and I wasn't happy. I mean, we're talking proper years ago, probably before even Cole. So when, I say, like, we've been doing some work for Corvus Belly, some videos for them, and there's this Ice Bear model, which just has this really cool weapon, and it's big, like it's proper big. It's not like 54 mil scale, 75 mil scale model big, but it's, put it this way, I did a lot of testers for this video on Warriors of Chaos blades, and it was fine. But actually, as soon as I got to do it on this one, which was probably twice the size, this would be a great weapon on a Warhammer model. It was so much fun, man. Like it just that slightly bigger canvas to play around on. And yeah, I love how it came out. And snow basing, turns out snow basing is really easy.
Just get the talc out.
Well, so I now have a really useful box of a lot of snow stuff. So I tried out all these different brands, all these different things. And in the end, it was like, just use these three. And do you know that the thing I found most useful was having reference photos on the computer, because it's like, what's that classic thing of like draw a lion from memory, or draw a tiger from memory and then you draw it from like it was kind of that. It's
you need reference like to fully understand it.
I think so, and it just helped with the placement. And no, I'd done these testers without references just to see what the materials were like, the products were like, and I'd been maybe a little bit hesitant. I didn't fully commit, and they just looked rubbish because it was like, what's that blob of snow doing on that otherwise completely fine piece of ground kind of thing?
Snow's a really difficult one because it's
fascinating.
Miniature snow just doesn't look fluffy.
Well,
and that's
interesting. So snow doesn't necessarily look fluffy, it turns out. Like you have all these levels of what stage is the snowfall, what's the underlying powder, terrain,
ice.
Exactly, ice, powder, all of this, and it's fun. Like I've done snow basing for commissions and stuff before, but I've never had a snow army myself, and I was umming and ahhing for a long time about snow basing some Warriors of Chaos, because it's classic, right? It's kind of it's like everyone's Space Wars on snow base, whatever. And that's simply because for me, I'd love it on the shelf, but if I had to go and play at someone's, at the club or whatever, and I had to put them on like a lava mat or something, I couldn't do it. I couldn't deal with it. So it's always kind of maybe hesitant to play around with it too much. But having done this, having enjoyed this bit so much, I think that's the key. Really, is this was just a video that I made because I thought it would be a good video, and I've ended up loving doing it. So definitely on a roll at the minute, which is nice with YouTube. But yeah, the fluffy thing, dude. There's these micro balloons, and they are so fine. And it's just powder. Because in the past I've used like baking powder. I've used like craft store snow powder. And it's all right, but kind of looks like what it is.
Those micro balloons you need to be careful with, though, don't you?
Yeah. Absolutely. But I think we don't really say it on the videos very often, like, wear a mask, ventilate, do this, that, and the other, because I kind of assume, and perhaps I shouldn't, kind of assume when people are watching on, because they're quite boring tutorial videos, right? We're not like screaming that this is the greatest invention of painting and this, that, and the other. Kind of assume people know what they're doing, when it comes to like personal safety. And also, like, at the end of the day, it's not my responsibility. Like, do what you want. But like, you're absolutely right. Like, it's a messy process, and that's something I mentioned in the video. Actually, is I think particularly with the snow, you need to keep everything clean and dry. So the base needs to be dry before the snow goes on. Your brushes, your brush water, all of it needs to be clean, because as soon as you start getting contamination in there, But I mean, no one wants yellow snow, right? So
no, and I think I remember watching Andy's snow video on the diorama and all the yellowing that happened, and his
that was awful, wasn't it?
PTSD around that.
Yeah, absolutely awful. And I think that's it as well. I'd seen a load of really wonderful diorama snow effects, but again, this was the focus on. This was thinking, right, what's robust enough for gaming, but still looks cool. And yeah, in the end, this was the one that came out from it. And then one more video. I know Andy's not here, but I want to sort of have a chat about it because it will be out by the time we do this podcast. We're going to be doing a couple of Infinity videos, which is a game system both Andy and I used to play before we knew each other and collect, and it's really fun to be doing them now. And Andy started it off with starting to paint up a Pano team, and he's just had some fun sort of doing what's it like doing the two poster boys from the two games. In the same way, and just sort of painting them in exactly the same way, building them, obviously, and just comparing how that sort of, what that's like, contrasting what that's like. Yeah, quite interesting, actually. I really enjoyed watching it. Yeah, I will be painting up the JSU for this week or next week, whenever this video's out, which is this absolutely amazing, like, Japanese in space. Love it. Can't get enough of it. So yeah, big fan. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching all of them. So anything else you wanted to have a chat about?
It's kind of, yeah, it's nice to be on the other side and just.
Well, it's lovely to have you on, mate. I really appreciate you jumping on. As I said, I didn't want to wait another week, and I didn't really feel like just shouting into the void. Yeah, I do that enough. Working on my own anyway. But yeah, really appreciate it. And as I say, Matt and I will be back with Andy in a couple of weeks for the live episode, October episode for Culture of Paint. If you've got any questions about anything we've natted about, anything you'd like us to take a look at, pop them down in the comments and we'll take a look. We cover a lot more community stuff and community painting things when we do the live episodes as well. And if you want a bunch more podcast content, as I say, we finish this now and then we go over and record some Patreon only stuff, lots of Q&As and behind the scenes stuff we chat about with the guys over there that support us and we're able to do all of this. So now Matt and I are going back to doing lots of MPO stuff because we've got October, then MPO online, and then before you know it, it will be MPO in person. Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a Day of God 2 Kickstarter to do as well. So busy times. Oh, and there's another model as well, isn't there? So
yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, it's all good, guys. So again, without your support, we wouldn't be doing any of it. So thanks ever so much. So cheers for joining us. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye.